Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about another spawn of the 1980s Japanese OVA market, Wicked City. I've just been looking for an excuse to talk about this one. I knew I had to add it to this year's Halloween schedule. Wicked City is another adaptation of a work of Hideyuki Kikuchi, who's also behind Vampire Hunter D and Demon City Shinjuku. The Wicked City series of novels began back in 1985 with the book Blackguard and had its most recent entry in 2016 with book number 11. So far, only 3 of the novels have been translated into English, so I guess I'll just have to wait for a few more omnibuses to release, though there don't seem to be plans to do that, unfortunately. The movie we're talking about today is an adaptation of that very first novel, and was animated by the workhorse studio Madhouse. The OVA Wicked City released in 1987 to critical acclaim, and also displeasure, as some cited the film's portrayal of violence as purely misogynistic. In fact, a lot of the Western reviewers of the time seemed to enjoy the visuals and themes, but ultimately brushed off the film as not much more than a reason to splash sexual violence onto the screen. I mean, if you go to Wikipedia, you can see multiple quotes talking about how this film epitomizes Japanese animated films' propensity for violence and gratuitous sex. Because Western filmmaking definitely never ever exploited sex and violence to attract an audience, no sir. Especially not in the 70s and 80s. I mean, what do you think, there was an entire genre referred to as exploitation films or something? To be fair to reviewers of the day, Wicked City does have a lot of gratuitous sex throughout its entire runtime, so I do need to throw a content warning up here for you. Wicked City has a lot of situations of sexual violence, gore, and also just some really fucking weird shit, to the point that I don't know that I would recommend this to a general audience. It's very similar to Demon City Shinjuku if everything was dialed up to 11. If you're the type of anime viewer that likes DBZ and Naruto and thinks it would be fun to check out something from the 80s for Halloween, don't start with Wicked City. If you've seen something like Genocyber and wanted more, well, nothing in Wicked City will probably shock you. I personally watched it with my girlfriend after telling her nothing more than it's from the 80s and I think there's tentacles in it. What a date night that was. Honestly, it was actually really fun. If you haven't watched a demonic unbirthing with your partner, are you really living? This is the story of Wicked City. The world Wicked City takes place in is one in which humanity exists with a parallel dimension known as the Black World. Plenty of demons and other body horror style entities exist in this other world, and sometimes their world and ours intersect. In order to protect the world from demonic invasion, there exists a secret organization of agents known as Blackguards, men and women who investigate and defeat demonic entities. Our main character, a salaryman for an electrical appliance company by day and Blackguard by night, is named Taki. Taki is sort of a smooth-talking ladies' man who works as a guard against darkness to fill some sort of gaping hole in his life. One that he can't even really describe. He's almost a sort of James Bond-esque devilish rogue, which immediately gets him into trouble at the beginning of the movie as he takes a woman home from a bar to work his charm. Actually, Taki doesn't even have to really work his charm. This lady is ready to go to town pretty much immediately. Like, as soon as they get in the door, she's working that inanimate carbon rod. His inner monologue actually made me laugh really hard here too, maybe even harder than our boy Taki is.
My God, has this wild woman been hiding under that demure exterior all this time?
My God, that's gold. After the two get down to business, the woman reveals that she's actually a big gross spider demon lady with vagina dentata. The demon got what she came for and escapes out the window. Yes, the opening action of this movie is in fact the main character getting his cum stolen. That's why you always wrap that thing up, guys. You never know who's going to be a backwards-legged demon freak who's just out here to steal your seed. And yes, I know some of you out there are gonna say you'd still do it. After she escapes, Taki's basically like, huh, What the fuck was that? I watched the dub, by the way. The dub's pretty good. He wonders if the increasing amount of demonic occurrences is because of an upcoming armistice between the human and the black world. The next day, during his cover job as a salaryman, he speaks with his boss, who's in on the whole black guard thing. Taki has been chosen to guard a VIP during the signing of the treaty. This armistice is supposed to last for 500 years, which is the longest of its sort, so this treaty is really, really important. One of the treaty's signees is a decrepit old man named Jeppe Myart, who was present during the last signing in 1850. Because of the importance of the treaty, demonic terrorists known as the Radicals have Myart in their sights, thinking that if they can disrupt this ceremony, it's all they'll need to do to take over. Taki won't have to take on this task alone though, as he's assigned a new partner, a blackguard from the other world named Makier, who will meet him to pick up Myart at Narita Airport. Taki muses about the black world on his drive to the airport while listening to some really frantic jazz. I mean, what else are you gonna do on a long drive but deliver exposition? Once he arrives at the tarmac to pick up Myart, we get a scene that's really close in style to the opening of Demon City Shinjuku. Two radicals are waiting there for him, taking Taki on in some really well-animated hand-to-hand combat. You gotta love the colors and lighting here, and while it is similar to Demon City, the fight scenes are generally a lot longer and keep the quality up the entire time. Taki blows away one of the demons with his big black guard gun, which fires like this gigantic laser. It's kind of like the noisy cricket from Men in Black, except this thing looks intimidating even when it's not being fired. This thing has enough kick that when Taki fires it, it like flings him backwards and crumples a chain link fence just with the kick. It's definitely worth it though, because it blows that guy into literal chunks. But the other demon is able to sneak up on Taki and restrain him with these like protruding rib cage blades. While he's being held there, the chunked demon's head comes back to life and starts crawling closer and closer to him. It looks so close to the head spider from The Thing that I can't not mention it. I absolutely love the design of the demons in this movie. To put it bluntly, they're just fucking gross, man. While they usually walk around in a human form, the demons of Wicked City are able to contort their bodies into just a disgusting and grotesque form. Just as Taki is about to have his blackguard career come to an end, he is saved by the timely arrival of Makier. Being a woman from the other side, Makier has superhuman abilities and the power to grow her razor-sharp nails, which she utilizes to slice and dice demons to pieces. Makier introduces herself to Taki and explains that in the human world, she works as a small-time fashion model. Man, that kind of sucks. Like, you have a job as a demon-slaying secret agent, you still have to go to a 9 to 5 to keep up appearances. I really like Makier and Taki's banter here too. They are sort of playfully adversarial to each other, with Makier usually taking a shot at Taki's abilities and him replying with a sardonic retort. I appreciate that they make some jabs at each other, but it never becomes mean-spirited enough that it has to be a focus of the film. It's just a nice bit of characterization. Jeppe Myart's plane arrives but explodes as it's coming in for a landing. Luckily, the little old troll was wise enough to book an earlier flight just in case this sort of thing happened. Yeah, Myart is so old that he doesn't even look human anymore, and he's the embodiment of the pervert old man trope. He's like Master Roshi on Liver King level steroids. I'm not exaggerating when I say that 90% of his screen time is him wanting to get some lovin', making unwanted sexual advances on Makier, or making paid-for sexual advances on a prostitute. For what it's worth, the movie does make it a point to let the audience know that Myart has a Milton Berle-style dragon-level threat-sized dick, but we will get there. Oh boy, will we. Taki and Makie's first objective is to get Myart to a secret blackguard safehouse which is disguised as a hotel, and is protected by psychic barriers. We get our first taste of Myart's sparkling personality when he wants to talk to Taki about banging demon women, but both of the blackguards are pretty professional and remain unfazed. While Taki is usually a pretty smooth talker, when it comes to Myart, He's pretty curt and professional and blunt, and mostly focuses on the job. It's kind of nice to see that even though he treats the blackguard gig as just another job at the outset, he does actually care about it and put effort into it. The first thing Giuseppe wants to do when they arrive at the hotel, which he's not impressed with, by the way, is go to an erotic theater. At this point, I was already like, yeah, man, maybe just like let him get eaten by demons. Taki and the manager of the hotel appear to be old friends. As Taki leaves Makier to look after the lecherous old man, he spends time chatting and playing chess. By the way, it's not that I'm forgetting the manager's name, it's just that he literally doesn't have one. Actually, about half the characters in the movie go unnamed, even the main villain, who my anime list just has listed as Demon Leader. The manager wonders if the Myart they have upstairs might be a decoy. Apparently, despite his proclivities, the old man is supposedly very powerful and important. As the two get into a deeper conversation about Taki's work, the manager has some choice words, saying that Taki will know what it is he wants to protect when he actually finds it. Taki's characterization of just sort of listing through life with no real dream or reason for doing what he does is reiterated a few times, and while the movie kind of falls into telling us that instead of being able to show us, it is nice that Taki gets some depth, you know, instead of just being demon-killing gunman. Despite the hotel's reinforced barriers, Taki's conversation is cut short when the building begins to shake. Windows shatter and chaos erupts as demons break through the barriers. So not only can they morph into horrible monstrosities, but their demonic aura can just rip things apart. I'm extrapolating here because none of the abilities are really explained. It's not like Wicked City has an in-depth power system, unless there's one in the book, I don't know. One of the only named demons, called Jin, breaks in through the floor and attacks, but the manager isn't helpless and has this cool hidden chain blade that he fights with. Unfortunately, it's not very effective against Jin, and the demon yells him into pieces. It's a pretty fucking cool scene, and the manager doesn't die, but he does lose an arm, and Taki gets knocked out. Jin then goes upstairs to attack Myart, but he actually has a more personal reason for attacking them at the hotel. It turns out Jin and Makier are former lovers and acquaintances, and he considers her a traitor. Jin is able to overpower Makier, and then he reveals his true incel intent. If she won't be with him willingly, he will take her by force. And when Taki finally wakes up and rushes upstairs, we're met with the scene of Jin assaulting his partner. Though she does fight back and like strangle him with her demon hair like Bayonetta. Taki blasts Jin with his gun, which looks like it really burns, and then asks Makier if she's alright. She says she's fine, and to check on Myart, who's hiding in the bathroom, only to find out that he's escaped out the window. I may as well talk about it now, but Wicked City really loves to use rape as a plot device, particularly against Makier. Though she is characterized as a badass female demon blackguard who can hold her own, it doesn't stop every villain in the movie from assaulting her, and it's not just implied either. Obviously, I'm not going to show it here because I like having this YouTube channel, but they do just straight up show the violent acts on screen, so I really can't fault anyone for not being able to get through Wicked City if that shit bothers you. Personally, I think there are ways to use situations like that well in a movie, and then there are movies that just throw in rape for shock value. Wicked City is definitely one of the latter, and by the end of it, honestly, it's not even shocking anymore. I was kind of like, yep, Makie is getting raped again, I guess it must be 3 p.m. They look for Myart in the bathroom and find that he has predictably escaped out the window. Luckily, Taki knows exactly where the nasty old dude will go, a bathhouse. I believe technically he goes to what is known as a soapland, which is basically a bathhouse with prostitution that's in a weird legal gray area. I really only know about them because of Yakuza 7, but the Wikipedia page on them is actually really interesting. I don't really know how to describe this next scene very elegantly, so here goes. Myart is with the soap girl, and we overhear her remark about how he's basically a tripod. Good for him. Then, he suction cups right onto her titty with his old man mouth and pulls back and asks if she's fucking lactating. And she's like, no, I'm not pregnant, so that can't be it. I'm sorry I had to tell you that, but it happens in the movie, and how could I not mention that? Also, I was not joking earlier about watching this with my girlfriend, and at this part we both looked at each other and just like kind of laughed in shock. I don't know if you can classify a sentence like that as a jump scare, but it had a similar effect. Myart's hand starts melting into her body and her flesh starts like sloughing off and dripping all over him. It's delightfully disgusting. The Soapland girl was a demon in disguise. Wow, they really had this guy pegged and just trapped him right from the beginning, didn't they? Taki and Makie show up and literally have to yank Myart out of her body, and then they kill her. But even though the demon is dead, Myart is still acting like he's having a stroke, and Taki realizes that he's had almost all of his life energy drained. Our hero's only option now is to drive Myart to a psychic research clinic and have him healed by the country's top doctors. The clinic is pretty far away, and of course they're open to demonic attack the entire time. Plus the old man is just like seizing up in the back seat the whole time, but I guess that's better than him talking. As Taki and Makie are driving, a strange, thick miasma spreads over the road, causing them to stop. Myart freaks out even more and then spits out this little demon parasite. It slips under Makie's clothing and attacks her, turning into a huge, moist snake thing that is essentially just a giant dick with another dick for a tongue. The beast has Makie in its clutches and uses its tongue on her in a really graphic scene that went on a bit too long. Makie tells Taki to run and get Myart to safety, unleashing her own power from her left boob for some reason, which shoots a beam of light into the sky. Energy then rains down around them, and the two are struck with a huge bolt of lightning and apparently obliterated. Taki continues on his journey to the Psychic Research Center, coming to the conclusion that Makie expended all her own energy to save them. Luckily for these two, no more demons harass them until they make it to their destination. Myart is hucked into a Star Wars Bacta tank, you know I had to say it, and Taki is told by the doctor that Myart will recover fairly swiftly due to his high constitution. Taki is also told of the research clinic's incredibly powerful barriers that can stand up to any attack. The clinic is immediately attacked. Well, it comes under attack. It's more of a psychic assault meant to taunt Taki instead of an actual attempt on Myart's life. The leader of the Demon Radicals, a man I simply deemed Pinstripe after his pretty cool looking suit, is able to physically project a scene to Taki, showing him that Makie is alive, but she's being continually violated. A disembodied voice tells Taki that Makie is being tortured for being a traitor, and despite this literally being a scene where the demon leader opens up a portal to the rape dimension, it's actually pretty interestingly conveyed to Taki with how the scene is like composed. At points, the projection is like under their feet and under the vehicles, so at least it's sort of artistically done and it's not just like a window in the sky. Taki says that he's going to go and save Makie.
All right, I'll come.
Oh no, Taki, don't do that. That got you in trouble last time. Myart has already healed, or maybe it took a while. Honestly, this movie sometimes has issues with portraying the passage of time. Anyway, he's back awake and tells Taki not to go after that stupid demon bimbo, because Taki's job is to protect him. Taki cares more about saving Makie than his job, so he leaves and finds his way to where she's being tortured, which is like a dirty sewer. Multiple radicals are there to kill Taki, but he's the most in trouble when a nude female demon hypnotizes him, and then her entire abdomen turns into a gigantic vagina, and she beckons him to climb inside her. Man, don't you just love a good old demonic unbirthing? Her opening is really goddamn gross too. It's like pulsating and shooting out gouts of shining liquid like flares from the sun. While this is very gross, I love the way the scene is composed. It's bathed in a red light and the only score is a very overbearing heartbeat. It's very anxiety inducing. Taki resists returning to baby and blasts the demons with his gun. Then he is attacked by the other radicals. He punches a guy's head clean off. do black guards have augmented strength, or are demons the consistency of a rotting pumpkin? Is that their drawback? Imagine you have awesome psychic powers and can turn into a disgusting flesh beast, but your skull crumbles like paper mache. When it comes to fighting the demon leader though, it isn't as easy. He has some arm blades, excels at close combat, and the bodies of the radicals that Taki killed melt into him, giving him a thick armor that repels Taki's gunfire. Just when it looks like our hero has met his match and is about to die, a bolt of mysterious lightning whips around the room and frees Makier. This distracts the demon long enough that Taki's able to shoot him directly in the mouth and blow his head off. Taki goes to Makier and gives her his jacket like a true gentleman, and she heals his wounds with her demon powers, and he wonders why these radicals are so interested in him. Why bother luring him into a trap with his partner as bait if their goal is just to kill Giuseppe Myart? When the two return to the Psychic Research Center, Taki just gets yelled at by his boss and fired for technically abandoning the mission and going to save his partner. Wow, man, it's a rough day at work. Especially since we see that Pinstripe Demon is still alive and slowly regenerating. He talks to Spider Demon and we finally learn why they stole Taki's semen at the beginning of the movie, to have it tested for something nefarious. It seems the demons really are more interested in Taki than they are Myart, and there's more to the peace ceremony than meets the eye. The Spider Demon then sets out to kill Taki at any cost. Taki and Makie drive down the highway listening to a very sappy song and having a really melodramatic conversation. I love the animation of the car here. Just loop it over some lo-fi and I'm all set. Out of nowhere, Giuseppe pops up in the back seat, revealing that he actually came with them because he was just bored. This makes Taki so mad that he almost crashes the car, and I can't say that I blame him. Then the car actually crashes when it runs into a bunch of demonic spider webs that have been laid across a tunnel. Taki gets out of the vehicle surprisingly uninjured and punches the spider demon right in her baby oven, but it doesn't really have any effect. Then he and Makie get all webbed up, with Taki being stabbed in the process. They are dangled from the ceiling and cut up all over their bodies. And then they pass out to the spider demon's cackling laughter. As it turns out, however, this will be her last laugh, as the lightning that earlier freed Makier comes into the tunnel and zaps her right in the clam. Youch. She writhes around on the ground and then dies. A pretty fitting end for such a gross creature. I actually think that the spider demon is my favorite design in the entire movie. She has backwards legs that just look wrong, and when she's writhing on the ground, it really is the thing in this movie that gave me the creeps the most. Very Uncanny Valley vibes. There's a very ethereal scene with Taki and Makie floating through a void with this big cross, which is a little bit more imposing than it is reassuring, but maybe that's just me. They are then on a big bed with white sheets, and in the notes I wrote down that I thought they were having spirit sex because the last we saw them, they were being drained of all their fluids, and not in the good way. Taki wonders if this is some sort of dream, while Makie finds herself overwhelmed with emotion, shedding tears when demons aren't supposed to be able to weep. That's right, devils never cry. This is when Myart walks in and just sort of delivers a bunch of exposition about how he was the one who saved them. That lightning that has shown up a few times is actually a manifestation of his power, and up to this point everything has actually been orchestrated by the old man for one specific purpose: to get Taki and Makie together. Yeah, so as it turns out, the treaty is actually supposed to be signed by Taki and Makie, a demon and a human that have fallen in love and can conceive a child. This is something that's supposed to be a genetic impossibility, but these two are the 1 in a million shot to show that the two sides can coexist. Which is a fine point for the movie, but like I can't help but think that it would have hit home harder if they had any other demon character in the movie not be like the biggest, most evil asshole besides Makie. Of course, that just doesn't like solve all the world's problems. People aren't going to be gung-ho to integrate with body horror monsters that can scream your limbs off just because two people bumped uglies and spawned an imp, but it's a very important first step. The demon leader shows up for the final battle, fighting Jeppe personally and throwing him into this shadow dimension to get chewed on by tentacle monsters. However, Myart finally shows his true powers, reappearing from the shadows, wielding his lightning magic. The fight ends up on the church roof, and although Taki and Myart are both fighting their hardest, Pinstripe Demon still has his regeneration working for him. Even when Myart lets himself get impaled by his rib blades in order to call down lightning and impale him with a huge metal cross, the demon is still regenerating too quickly to finish off. And now, Jeppe Myart is almost fully drained of energy. But from the top of the church's steeple, Makier appears robed in the white sheets and is incredibly powerful, quickly cutting the demon leader in half and ending the battle. As for why she has suddenly gained this power-up, well, Myart says it's because she's been transmogrified, and apparently that's from being pregnant. Now that she has something to protect, she has unlocked new depths of power. Wow, that was fast. I mean, has the swimmer even hit the egg yet? Either way, Taki does realize that he loves Makier after a bit of an internal struggle, which he kind of mostly has just because he's mad at Myart for setting everything up. It would be kind of funny if, at the end, he was just like, nah, she's mid, and left. Instead, Taki and Makie leave the church together, and he realizes that he actually has found what he wants to keep safe. And that was the story of Wicked City. It was a macabre and violent techno-noir adventure that sometimes calls to the more schlocky aspects of the era. While the content is graphic and definitely not for everyone, the animation is really good, the lighting is beautiful, and the action scenes are a total highlight. It also really excels at the monster design, melding the best parts of Cronenberg and Carpenter to create really disturbing flesh monsters. And while I'm not a huge fan of the Jeppe Myart Deus Ex Machina with him being responsible for everything that happened in the story, I guess it's a fine enough plot point for the movie. Though I do think it lacks a good amount of world building, and I would like to see if the novels expand upon that. Let me know down below what you thought of Wicked City, and I will see you again soon. Hello everybody, welcome to today's end card. Let's go ahead and thank all the channel members, aka Batosai, Argent, Griever, Azure Windress, Brian Sanchez, Chris Goodnow, Daniel Johnson, Dane O'Connor, Grim 07, Harmonious, Hidden Insanity, Jessica Solberg, Jay Lamb, Joe Castellanos, Joe Cavazos, Johnny G, Canto 20, McLean Nugent, Mackenzie Cunning, MB, The Crawl, Trey Hardy, The Twisted Mentat, Zappa Slave, and Zach Jones. Thank you all so much for continuing to be channel members. I really do appreciate it. I hope you've been enjoying all the content this October. I'm pretty proud of the output, honestly. Being like, what is this, 6 weeks in a row? 5 in a row? I lost count already. I can't count past 5. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video of Wicked City. It definitely was a doozy. There's a lot of really gross stuff in it. But it's the kind of gross stuff that I did enjoy watching, except for all the, like, assault that's in it. That definitely does kind of hamper my enjoyment a bit, but it wasn't too much. I kind of went in knowing that shit was probably going to happen. But next week, we're going to be looking at another series that includes some of that stuff, although not to the same degree. Which is Berserk. I'm going to be taking a look at the 1997 Berserk series, so stay tuned for that. If you want any other way to support me, we do have a gaming channel, which is linked in the description down below, where I just kind of do like pretty much just casual Let's Plays. Right now I'm going through Paper Mario 1, also Super Robot Wars Y, and right now the first Black Ops, and once I'm done with the first Black Ops, I've been like alternating through really good 360 shooters. So next I'm doing at least like Halo 1 or Reach. I can't decide which one I want to do first, but anyway, that's there if you like that sort of content. Otherwise, stay tuned next week for the next video. And then after that, once Halloween is all good and done, I think I'm going to take a break from like the macabre and terrifying, and I might in November do Zoid's New Century along with Gundam The Origin. So that's the outlook for November's stuff. And then I haven't decided what the end of the year is going to entail. I want to do at least 2 videos in December, so stick around for that. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.